Hi, I'm Debbie from Simply Special Crafts. Today we're going to take a look at the Hunkydory Twas the Night Before Christmas luxury kit, and I'm going to show you some samples and do a little short demo for you. I hope you enjoy it. This is the Twas the Night Before Christmas luxury topper set. Now this one has some special little bonuses for you in it, so I wanted to take just a moment to talk a little bit about the kit. In addition to 8 topper sets, when you know by now that a topper set means that you get one foiled and die cut sheet and then 2 pieces of matching cardstock, one with foil and one without foil for each set. This kit has 8 of those sets. But in addition to those 8 sets, this set also has 16 insert sheets that are included in the kit. So you don't have to buy those separately this time. They also send you one bonus topper set, so you have one extra sheet of die cut and foiled images. So it's a really, really neat set, a great value. Now you can see here that Hunkydory says this is going to make at least 16 cards. Well, you know us, we're going to make at least twice that. In fact, I'm sure that in the samples that I've done for you today, out of the 4 topper sets that I've completed, I'm sure we have more than 16 projects completed just out of the 4 sets I've done at this point. So you're gonna get a lot out of this kit. If you love kind of that classic Santa look, you're going to fall in love with this kit. And of course you also get an inspiration sheet from Hunkydory with even more ideas about cards that you can complete using this collection. So let's start by taking a look at some of the supplies we've used as usual. As usual, I've included a variety of mirror board. I think in this case all of the mirror board that I've used has been the gold Mary, and you'll see I've done lots of die cutting with this as well as covering some of my card bases. I'm using the Snowfall acetate from Hunkydory. I'm using this beautiful shimmer paper pack. This one's called Mars, and as you can see with the shimmer paper, you get a beautiful, almost glittery, but not quite glittery finish with this. It's just beautiful. There's nothing to rub off, and you get the beautiful sheen from this paper, which makes a really nice addition to our cards. Additionally, I have liberally used, and you're going to see I've used this die on almost all of my projects. I really, really love this die with this set. This is from Yvonne Creations. It's the Merry Christmas die, YCD 100-10057, the traditional Christmas, and it is just fabulous. And guys, this is less than $7. So wait till you see what we've done with this. And then we also, from Memory Box, are using these beautiful snowflakes. Now, one of the things I love about these snowflakes is you can use the outlines, but you can also use these punch-out pieces from the center for some fun effects. And once again, this is a very reasonably priced die set, so I think you'll enjoy having this one in your collection. I love making shaker cards from outdoor snow scenes, and I wanted to show you a variety of the kinds of materials you can use. So I made 3 different shaker cards using different materials. One is using seed beads. We have seed beads in the store. I'll give you a link to that in the newsletter. I was using these crystal cloud circles, excuse me, from Nouveau. They're really beautiful. Oh my gosh, they really look like snowflakes, and they're just so sparkly and gorgeous. I love those. I use these fun little light gold hexagons, which again just create a beautiful sheen in your card without adding a lot of extra bulk. Beautiful. I use some stickles, and this one happens to be crystal. I think I used both crystal and diamond in stickles, and we have those available in the store. I'll link you to those in our newsletter. We have some new fun ribbon packs. We have 2 different Christmas ribbon packs that we have available, and these are very, very reasonably priced. How many pieces did we have in these, Brittany? Like 7, I think, pieces in each set? Well, let's find out. She won't mind that I open it. She has to wrap them all back up and stick them back in, but that's okay. They're really some fun, beautiful pieces. So we've got a piece of beautiful blue organza. We've got a dotted green organza. We've got this soft blue. This one's like half a yard of this soft, shiny blue. We've got Christmas trees on this brown ribbon with a kind of almost turquoise trim. And the same here, we've got wider ribbon with a little Christmas village snow scene. We've got this gorgeous, you know me, I love my purples, and we've got this beautiful purple satin. We've got this nice blue. We've got a nice green. We've got a burgundy, and we've got this beautiful sparkle ribbon. So some of these are in half yard pieces, some are in full yard pieces. I still didn't count how many were here, but this entire collection of ribbon is, I believe, priced at $5.99 in our store. So it's a great deal, and you're going to have fun using these ribbons with your Christmas cards. So we've got those. Of course, I've used some of my typical supplies. I had to have my finger lift tape. You gotta use finger lift tape. At least I do. I used my shaker tape. I used my bow maker. I used my foam squares. Of course, I also used, I don't see it here, but I also used my baby glue bottle with my Cosmic Shimmer glue. And naturally, I'm going to use my long blade scissors and a trimmer. So those are all things you'll want to have on hand when you're creating your Christmas cards. There's my glue bottle. Magically appears. Magically disappears too, and they drop it on the floor and do other things. So let's take a look at our card samples here. Okay, this first set we're going to take a look at is called A Gift for You. Here's our foiled and die-cut topper sheet. This has some really fun elements. I was just saying to Brittany, I love this little Merry Christmas ribbon here that they've printed with the little Santa buckles. It's so cute. Then they have all these cute little embellishments as well as 3 nice sized toppers. This one also has a beautiful topper of Santa handing a gift. And we get Santa's bag of toys also on another sheet. So we're going to be surprised how many we got out of this one. First, here's that little bag of toys, and here's the first time we've used that Merry Christmas tag. On this one, I'm using an A6 card. I've covered it in gold mirror board. I've cut my topper slightly smaller than my A6 size, which is A6 is 4 1/8 by 5 7/8. So I will have cut this one 1/4 of an inch shorter and 1/4 of an inch narrower to go on my mirror board. But before I did that, I wrapped a piece of my my dark blue, beautiful blue organza around that. Then I tied myself a little double bow, triple bow, I guess, a little triple bow, small bow, and put on top of there. I just added my Merry Christmas, and I didn't think it wanted any more than that. So cute. Next up, a bundle of toys he had flung on his back, and he looked like a peddler just opening his pack. We used a piece of our cardstock. We covered one of our A6 cards. I used a couple of straight line stickers here and ran on either side of that little border piece. I cut out my Merry Christmas. I mounted that on some of that Mars shimmer paper, and then I put that on a piece of my gold mirror board. And then I just put my elements on with foam squares, and it's just as cute as it can be. Here I used a piece of that Merry Christmas ribbon inside with one of those little buttons on my insert. This one had an insert with the little toy pack. Here's my side panel off of that cardstock. And you know, I didn't do much at all to this one. I covered my A6 card. I added my Merry Christmas. I added the inside of one of those pretty snowflakes. and I just didn't think it wanted any more than that. It was beautiful and sparkly and fun, and so I just said, I'm going to leave that one alone. Here's the first of our shaker cards. In this one, we're using the hexagon gold little confetti from that confetti set that I'm referring to all the time. What's that called, Brittany?
Golden Years.
Golden Years set. Many of you have that Golden Years set, and I wanted to help you use some of the other confettis. This is just beautiful in this card. All I've done is I covered my card, my 5x7 card with my cardstock. I used 2 of those pretty little snowflakes from Memory Box. I used that Merry Christmas. I created my shaker card, and you guys know how to create a shaker card by now. If not, refer back to the techniques video that I did that just shows the shaker card, and added those pretty gold hexagons. I felt like it wanted something else in this particular card, so I created a little extra piece here. This is actually just off my leftover cardstock, and I cut myself a little 3/8 inch piece. It could be up to a 1/2 inch piece that had the blue and the stars, and I ran one of those little straight line stickers through it. I'll give you the number of those straight line stickers on my supplies list. But how cute is that? Here's another one that's just super simple, but how cute. This is a little A6 card. I have covered it in some of my background paper. That was right off my cardstock. I added a little inside of a snowflake here. Added my little button on top. Foam squares under this piece, and a couple of those little extra snowflake pieces, and how cute is that? And here's something you haven't seen us do before, but I think these are great fun. We have these bags available in the store this season for as long as they last. We have this cute little bag collection. You get 3 gift bags per set, and what a great way to use up some of those little topper pieces that you have left over, adding that same Merry Christmas, that same Santa, with a matching card for your gift. It's so cute. And what a nice set. If you happen to be selling your cards, which I know a lot of people are, consider selling these as a set. So these are great. And you'll see us using a few of these this year. So out of this one topper set, we got the gift bag plus 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we got 6 projects out of this one set that Hunkydory said we would get 2 cards from. Let's look at our next set. Okay, this set's called Special Delivery. Got Santa looking very proud, standing there at the top of the chimney, getting ready to make his descent. Cute little border piece, fun little buttons on here. Another beautiful image. Look at that. The colors in this are just stunning. And this is just such fun, versatile cardstock. Here's another beautiful image of Santa. This one features that beautiful gold foiling. Let's see what we did with this one. Here's a piece of that background. Now this one, yes, I believe I used some, because I did make so many cards, I believe I actually pieced this one together. I used a piece of this background. I used a piece of this background. And I used that little ribbon. Can you see that ribbon on camera there? Use that little ribbon off my sheet to create my background, because I thought this looked better with having some blue than it did to have this ring just kind of disappear into the red. And I had used up a lot of my blue, so I used just a scrap I had left of the blue and then added the border and the red to extend that on out. This is on a 5x7 card. It might look a little shorter. That's because it is. I actually trimmed it down just a bit because I thought this round topper would fit better. So I pieced together my background on a 5x7 card, trimmed my card. I took that 3-piece topper and I broke it into 3 pieces. I put the outside ring up on some foam squares. I glued the inside ring flush to my card. I put this one up on some foam squares. Added this. I just rested the edge of my tag on this outside, and then I put some foam squares under this side. And then I added some pretty stickles to give that some fun sparkle. And I love the way that turned out. Next up, we've got this beautiful one here. And you'll see I used a 5x7 card. I covered it in gold mirror board. And then I just made this piece here 4.5 by 6.5 long, 4.5 wide, 6.5 long. And all I did was cut that piece out of here and then add some fun snowflakes off that snowflakes die I showed you from Memory Box. Here's my Merry Christmas, that very classic Merry Christmas. Added my beautiful stickles around, and they just don't get any prettier than that, but how simple is that? Really nice, simple design. Here is this other piece of cardstock from this corner. This is another 5x7 card. I have simply taken a 5x7 card. I have covered it in that corner. I added my Merry Christmas and 2 snowflakes. Add those beautiful stickles for extra sparkle. And it just didn't need any more than that. Here is a shaker card filled with beads. And this is off of my topper sheet. I'm using this corner from my cardstock, 5x7 card. I simply covered that in that corner and then created my typical shaker. I will tell you that I used a double layer because these beads were actually bigger than what I normally use. I used a double layer of my shaker tape. This was 2mm shaker tape, and I put 2 layers, so it's actually a 4mm box for my shaker elements. But how cute is that? And then, once again, I have a matching gift bag. Any of these cards would be a beautiful addition to that gift bag. But you can see that any of these cards is going to match that Santa really nicely if you want to make that gift set we talked about. So from this set, we got the bag and 4 cards. So we got 5 projects from this one. This set's called Warm Winter Wishes. Once again, I love, love, love that banner. Isn't that pretty? And you know, I'm always going to be a sucker for the puppy in front of the fire. How cute is that? We've got Santa loading the presents. We've got this little dog in the chair. And we've got, he was dressed all in fur from his head to his foot, and his clothes were all covered with ashes and soot. It says tarnish. We're all tarnished with ashes and soot. So I did something a little bit fun with this one. I'll show you, because we have this beautiful image, but it's way far away from each other, and I didn't think this one stood particularly well on its own, so I did something a little crafty there. Let's start with that one. In this one, I took a 5x7 card and I trimmed off the full image here, about here, and I covered that part of my card. And then I brought this in from this side and covered that part of the card. Now you can see a slight variation in the wall color and the floor color. I actually thought that was kind of fun, so I left that. I did trim it such that the paneling lines continue, so I tried to trim it so that I had a continual line. You know, my spacing was normal. I used off of my topper sheet, I used this ribbon across the top to tie both of those images together, and I used my Sending Christmas Wishes with a tiny bow here, and I thought that looked really cute. It was a fun way to bring those images together. Put some of my stickles in the Christmas tree itself to make it look like we have little sparkly things in the tree. Next up, I took the arched card off the topper set, and I simply applied my outer frame to a 5x7 card, and then I cut around that. Make sure that you cut just to the line so that you still have your edge. Yes, this is the voice of experience speaking. I have, in fact, cut it all the way out and then realized that I cut my card off. So cut only to the fold. And then I left the two outer rings flat, and I put this centerpiece up on some foam squares. And here's my Merry Christmas again. This time I've taken an A6 card, European A6. I've simply covered my card with that pretty cardstock. I didn't feel like it needed a lot of other things, so I put my Merry Christmas in. I put that smaller topper. I called it good because it looked terrific to me. Next up, I took this very pretty square topper. I took a 5x7 card. I just covered it in a piece of my cardstock that was cut out of the middle of here. And I split my 3-piece topper. I put this center ring I glued down on a diamond. Then I positioned my outer square on foam squares. I placed my center on foam squares. I added my Merry Christmas, and I think that's just as pretty as they get. I did also, I thought it needed a little something here at the bottom, so I used this piece right here that was intended to be a throwaway. Look how nicely that pulls the colors back in from the top to the bottom by just putting that piece there. I thought that was gorgeous. This set's called No Dasher, No Dancer. Reindeer are just charming in this. I love reindeer, and they do a beautiful job in this artwork. Got that beautiful foiling on this piece. And look at this. Excuse me, there is something in the air today. I apologize, guys, but that happens. Okay, let's take a look at what we have finished. Here's our little shaker card with the what were those called? I don't remember it, but they're the ones I said look like snowflakes. The clouds, yeah, the cloud one. And that's just really, really pretty filler for a shaker card. And those are sold in individual bottles that are a little bit bigger than the ones in the set, so I'll link you to that in our newsletter, but they're very pretty. And I didn't do a lot on this one. I just covered my background with this, tied myself a little double bow out of that pretty blue organza that's in the ribbon set, Joyous Noel, and I thought it didn't need any more than that. I thought it was really pretty. This one is just a 4x8 card. Needs to be trimmed a little bit right there. I think I'll do that. I think that's my insert showing, actually. But I need to trim that down just a tad. There, that looks better. Now, I used my 4x8 card, trimmed off the tiny little edge that's left, ran some stickles around the moon, added some stickles and the little snowflakes here and there, put on my Merry Christmas, and I just didn't think it needed any more than that. Used the pretty matching insert. This one I just used the remainder of the insert from that sheet. This little gift bag I made just to use up some of my extra pieces, and I actually thought that it looked great. This gift bag is to a special family. And now we're going to do one sample online. So I'm going to pull my supplies in here, and we're going to make a center step card using, oops, excuse me, Brittany, didn't mean to bump the camera there. Using this pretty image off our topper sheet. I'm going to start by getting my center step card out here. You've noticed I really like center step cards. We still have a nice supply of them, but eventually we're going to run out of these hot off the press ones because we can't get these anymore. But for as long as we have them, they're a lot of fun to use. We do have some others from Hunkydory. They're nice center steps, but they're pretty big. And we in America like to do a little smaller cards than what they like in the UK, where their postal rate structure is different. So you can see what I'm doing here. I'm putting my finger lift tape on here, and I'm putting 3 rows on this piece that sticks up. I'm covering this bottom section pretty well. 2 strips on the bottom. I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to peel my finger lift tape here. Now often Hunkydory prints pretty borders on things, and that makes it really easy for me to use that border in a center step or side step card. So I'm going to begin this insert sheet out of my way here. I'm going to begin by sticking my border. Oops, it's got a little dent in my corner. Let's go to this side. Come over here, and I'm going to match my border right up to the bottom of this card. Rub that all into my tape. Alright, now we're going to flip this over, and you can see that that card is attached. Just this front panel of the card is attached, and we're going to cut it out. But when you cut it, this is really important, guys. When you cut this, I do not want you to cut out these 2 little notches. What I want you to do is go up here and go straight across. I'll tell you why that is in just a minute, or I'll show you why that is. I want you to just go straight across like that, okay? Leave those 2 little squares in place. They serve an important purpose. Then we're going to open up the card. We're going to reach in from the side. I'm going to try and do this so you can see what I'm doing. I'm going to reach in from the side, and we're going to clip this. Now we'll come down to that clip. We're going to come in here. We're going to clip. And then we're going to come down to that clip. Now, depending on whether you're right or left-handed, one or the other of those cuts may be a little awkward for you to feel, but okay. The reason I didn't want you to cut those, I'm actually going to use something different on my card, but I wanted to show you that if you don't cut those, these will fit these side panels perfectly. You can bring those back in here. Now, I've decided But so those will fit nicely. That's why you're not cutting those off. If you cut them off, they're going to end up being an inch too short. What I want to do though is I want to use this foiled piece here. So you want to grab me a paper cutter, Brittany? I was thinking I didn't need a paper cutter and I didn't bring one down here, but I do. And I happen to know, thank you very much. I happen to know that this strip right here is 4 inches long by 1 inch wide, which means that this one strip here is going to be enough to cover both of those. Now I want this frilly edge piece too, not just the foiled part, but I like that frilly part, and I'm going to put that to the outside. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to cut this to, let me just make sure, I'm doubting myself now. Yeah, it's 4 inches long. So I'm going to cut this to, it ended up being what, about 1.5 inches wide in order to get all those pretty frillies. Now I'm going to come in here with my paper cutter. Can you see what I'm doing, Britt? I'm going to come in here with my paper cutter and I'm actually going to try my 1/2 inch strip off of that. And I'm going to cut this to be 4 inches long. I'm going to cut another one to be 4 inches long. And these should theoretically fit really nicely in these two spaces. Aren't those pretty? And I'm going to glue those in place. I think that's going to look good. So let me glue those in place and I'll be right back. While we were off camera, Brittany asked me a great question, and I thought I'd better come back on camera and answer that. She said, why are you gluing that when normally you always tape? And the answer to that is because I wanted a little wiggle room here, because if I don't get this on just right, I'm going to have white showing either on the inside or the outside. So I want to get that just as centered as I possibly can. I may still have a really minute amount of white showing. I'm not too worried about that. Overall, the impression of that is beautiful. The other thing I wanted to mention is that when I'm gluing this on, which again, I glued it because it allowed me a little wiggle room to get those on just right. Don't glue down to this bottom square. That's on the inside anyway. You're going to come up and glue just this panel right here. So now we have a beautiful stepper. I mean, it just doesn't come any prettier than that. And we're going to go ahead and we're going to put our embellishments on it now. Let me move my big old trimmer out over here. Actually, I'm going to come back to that in just a minute. Okay, I'm going to put this center, or this piece right here. I like that. I have a really pretty little love here that I just think would be a nice addition. You know, throw in an extra little piece. And then I wanted to make a choice between these two. This is peace and goodwill to one and all. I like that. I also have the most magical Christmas. I think magical Christmas is just a bit too big for the space that I have available, so I think I'm going to go with this one. Let me put those up on some foam squares and this card is going to be done. Sometimes when you have, like these cards have bright colors and lots of vivid, easily recognizable imagery, you just don't want to do as much to them. You'll notice that the cards that I'm making here have been very simple. Because the imagery is stunning and the images are highly recognizable, Sometimes you just want to let the image carry the day, and that's what I'm doing here. I'm not going to add a lot of extra embellishment because these images are beautiful just like they are. And we don't want too much, we want to hit that spot where it's just the right amount. And peel off these foam squares. I'm going to bring this topper in just below my edge there. Trying to kind of center it. That looks good. I'll add this little love up in this corner. As I was saying a minute ago, I'm going to let the edge of that, well, maybe I'll actually put it right on top. So I'm going to put that there, and that means I'm going to have to double this sticker. If I'm going to have that stand up higher, this foam square is going to have to be double, so this isn't sitting at an angle. So I'm going to put this on top, and then my other, oops, I didn't peel it. It sticks way better, Brittany, if you peel it.
It does.
Just a little something I've learned along the way,
It's a good lesson.
Yeah, gotta share that knowledge. There we go. Okay, there we go. So I've got a foam square under here and a double layer up here. Then we're going to put some foam squares on our peace and goodwill to one and all. And our very pretty center stepper card only needs to be, lined then. And I want to line it for you because there's a special little technique to lining these. I like it. It's pretty. Okay, so let's start. You should get a good view there. And let's start by measuring our outside dimensions. I believe they're 6.5, which they are, by 5, which they are. So I'm going to take my liner sheet, and I'm going to cut this in 5 by 6.5. But that won't quite fit because we have those two little notches. But we happen to know that those little notches are 1 by 1. So if I cut a little 1 by 1 square out of the top there, and you can see that, this is not rocket science. I'm just quickly kind of roughing it in. Oops. There we go. I've got my little notched out insert piece, and sometimes I have to trim just a tad, but usually you can slide that right up in there, which we did. I can tape or glue that in place, and I have an insert for my center step card. So I'm going to go ahead and glue that in place then. So we have, from this kit, we have 4 completed projects. We have the 2 larger cards. We have the matching gift bag. We have our center stepper card. This is half of the Santa Claus, or the Twas the Night Before Christmas set. We will be, I'm going to just leave it at this point because, as I said, I don't think that these cards require a lot of fanciness. They actually the images stand on their own really, really well, guys. So I wanted to give you plenty of examples and ideas to work with, but I'm going to go ahead and move on since I have a lot of other Christmas cards to do for you, and let you work on your own to do the remaining 5 sets. And I'll be back soon with some more Christmas card ideas for you. If you enjoyed this video and want to see more, please be sure you hit that subscribe button. Look in the notes down below and you'll see a link to our newsletter. Subscribe to our newsletter and I will send you a supplies list of everything that we've used in today's video and links to where you can get that. I'm Debbie from Simply Special Crafts, and we'll see you next time.